Hey everyone, welcome to beautiful downtown Cryptid Creek. Gribbly here, back for another AMA. I'm here with Corbins. So first of all, I got a few housekeeping notes before we get into the questions. So let me go through a few things with you. First thing, this is just part one of the AMA. As we went through, we found that there was a lot of questions. I got super busy. We didn't get through all of them. We'll come back and do a part two early next week, but we're going to get through as many as we can today. So that's first thing. Second thing, hey, like I said, I'm here in downtown Cryptid Creek. This is one of the areas in the brand new RRO My Little Monsters, which we just released. So I just want to say, if you haven't checked out My Little Monsters yet, you really should. It's fantastic. It's fun. I know a lot of people have been really loving it. So come on down to Cryptid Town and have a great time. So that's the second thing. The third thing is we just rolled out full body avatars in beta to everyone. So everyone can jump in, give it a try, see what they think, try the new expressive capabilities in the new avatars. Let us know what you think. It is a beta, so there's more work to be done. And if you're interested, we've published a pretty detailed blog post about the interesting technology behind the avatars. We call it a peek beneath the hoodie. Also, some of the interesting work that's coming up as we kind of move forward with avatar technology to do all sorts of interesting, cool stuff. So yeah, check that out. Try out the FBAs. Fourth thing is stay tuned. We have a big announcement coming. So we hope on July 9th to have a really exciting announcement for Rec Room. So stay tuned for that. I'm not going to say anything more than that. I'm going to keep it mysterious, but July 9th. Keep your ears open. And then the fifth thing I want to say before we get to the actual questions is I just wanted to talk directly about the Save Rec Room feedback that we've been getting on Discord, on YouTube, on Reddit. You know, I think a common complaint under Save Rec Room has been, hey, they don't listen to us. Do they not care what the community thinks? They've removed features like weeklies and things like that. I just want to say, hey, look, first, we do read all of that feedback. Lots of people on the team, myself included, do watch the videos. We read the feedback. I think we're, pretty well aware of some of the feedback that's coming into us. And so I wanted to take a moment to explain some of our thinking behind some of the decisions we make to give you a little bit more context for what we're trying to do here and how it all fits together into a big picture. This is not to say you're going to agree with every decision we make or every reason I give you, but I did want to just share how we think about it in case it helps as you kind of think through these things in the future. When we think about Rec Room, we think back, we started the company in 2016 and we started, VR only. And really in some ways, Rec Room was a collection of mini games where the focus was really on being social, getting to know people, making new friends, hanging out, having a great time. And I think, a lot of people really enjoyed that. I know we loved it. And we made a series of increasingly complex mini games that really became maxi games called RRO's Rec Room Originals that, we're really grateful were very beloved by the community. A lot of people really fell in love with them. We are still in love with them. And, that's all great. But what we found was that's not really a great business. A common theme in the Save Rec Room feedback is, hey, everything Rec Room does is a cash grab. All they want to do is make profits. And look, I've always been consistent. You can go back and look at the AMAs that I made in 2016, 2017. I've always said it's important to make money as a company. We got to be sustainable. But I think it's a misconception that, Rec Room, all we're doing is like bringing in piles of money. We're, rolling around on our giant piles of money, and every decision we make is a short-term thing motivated only by profit. Really, nothing could be further from the truth. Rec Room doesn't bring in a lot of money month to month. We are not a wildly profitable company. We are still a fairly small and scrappy company in the scheme of things. And really, any money we do bring in, we are really investing in a long-term future. And I wanted to talk about that to you. The future that we see for Rec Room that we feel is really sustainable and is going to be a great blend of an amazing creative achievement, an amazing technical achievement, as well as a sustainable business, is to build a radically cross-platform social UGC experience. So UGC meaning user-generated content, meaning that you can build stuff like My Little Monsters, stuff that's anything that you can dream of, using the same tools that we build to build Rec Room Originals like My Little Monsters. That's the journey we're on. That's the sustainable future for the company. If we just go back to, hey, building quests, building paintball maps, shipping them out, that is not really a sustainable future for the company. There is not enough money, frankly, in doing that for the company to survive long term. And we want Rec Room to be around for the long term. That's really our motivation here. By investing in this, much harder project of making it a radically cross-platform social UGC experience, it means that, a bunch of really good things happen. It means that you can use the same tools we do to create anything you can think of. You can make money as well as us by creating content for the Rec Room ecosystem. And it means that we've got an endless world for people to explore to go all the way back to what made Rec Room special in the beginning, which is making friends and hanging out with people. So by investing in this kind of long-term social UGC future, that's what's going to make Rec Room sustainable for the long haul. And that's what we're investing in. And that's why we make decisions that I know some people really don't like choosing to remove the weeklies, for example. I know it was a controversial decision. And I want to say, like, we don't do that. Our goal is not to upset anyone. I'm really sorry to anyone who's that was a really special feature to them and they feel its absence. I apologize for that. The decision we make internally is, hey, that weeklies feature is not really on that long-term path to the top of the mountain that is a radically cross-platform social UGC experience, which is ultimately what makes Rec Room sustainable in the long term. So we have to make the difficult decision as a relatively small team. What are we going to focus on? We have to focus on things like the creator tools that are directly targeting that long-term future. We will continue to make RROs, including new quests, when the time is right, when we feel that the creator tools are capable of building a great quest. I think it's very likely we'll go back and make another quest, but not before then. We're not going to go back and just make another one for the sake of it. We're going to do it when we can do it with the creator tools and make a really amazing experience with the same tools you can use. So I just wanted to share that kind of long-term thinking. There is some method to our madness here. It does mean we have to make tough decisions sometimes, and I know not everyone likes that, but you'll see us invest in things that are on the road to the top of the mountain we see, which is a radically cross-platform social UGC experience. That's the future we see for Rec Room. That's what we're building towards. And so you'll hear me refer back to that vision a few times as I answer the AMA questions, but I just wanted to share that context up front, hoping that it helps understand how we think about things. All right, with that, let's get into the questions.
First question, will volume sliders for individual players/users be a thing?
Yes, eventually. I know the team wants to do it. I know we talk about it quite often. I don't think anyone's actively working on it right now, but yes, we do want that to be a thing. I think that'd be a good social feature. So yes, we will do it. Don't know when.
Cool. All right. Second question, are there any plans to start taking creator moderation more seriously? There are many creators who steal rooms, copy maps, and make inappropriate content for juniors, and almost all of them seem to go unpunished.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, good question. So I think there's really three parts to that question. So let me kind of hit on each of them separately. So first of all, like the idea of taking creator moderation seriously, I want to say very clearly, we do take it very seriously. We put a lot of effort into moderating content. I went and checked with the team, and we review tens of thousands of pieces of content every month. We review room reports, we review shirt reports, inventions, events, all kinds of things. So there's kind of like a part of it is, for everything that you do see that maybe slips through, there's a lot you're not seeing. So, there's a lot of content that gets made. The team is working super hard to moderate it. The work of a moderation team is never done. I'm sure you've, kind of seen this on other platforms. So we do take it seriously. We do work extremely hard at it. That's not to say we're always successful or that we're perfect or anything like that. So let me talk about the other two things. In terms of stolen maps, cloned maps, low effort maps, that kind of thing. Yeah, we think it's a problem too. We're not delighted to see on the play menu low effort clone rooms, and we know it can be discouraging for creators when we see that kind of thing. We do have some stuff in the recommendation systems that looks for signals of low effort clones. I don't want to go into too much detail, but we do have some stuff in there. I think it probably needs more work and more updating to make it more effective. But we are trying to kind of, keep a lid on how much you can get away with there. I think there's a lot more we can do there. I really just want to share that, hey, we do think that is a problem. We don't think the work here is done. And I think you'll see us pushing more and more towards ensuring that the content that gets recommended is really high quality content that people will really enjoy. And that rewards creator effort and creator creativity. On the junior thing, that's a good piece of feedback and actually something we've been talking about internally. I think what you'll see us do here is when you publish a room right now, if I go and make a room and I publish it, by default, the allows juniors setting is checked. And I think anyone who works in games and software probably has seen the power of defaults. Like, very often the default thing is just what everyone ends up doing. And so we think in this case, we're seeing a bit of a power of defaults thing is that people aren't necessarily trying to publish stuff that isn't great for juniors. It's more that they don't even really think about it. Everything by default, everything that's published is published for juniors. We think we probably either we want to flip that so the default is off, or at the very least be a little more intentional in the UI flow. So it's encouraging creators to make an intentional choice. Do you want to allow juniors in this content? So we think that's the next step on that path, is looking at that default UI flow and seeing if it's appropriate.
How come there isn't as much transparency between staff and the players anymore?
Fair question. I hope that's more perception than reality. Like, we're definitely trying. Like, we want our people, everyone who works on the team, to be talking to the community. Like I said at the start of the video, we definitely, we are very aware of the discussions that are going on. We are in the Discord, we're in the Reddit. We watch the YouTube videos. So I think we definitely hear a lot of what is said. We encourage people to engage directly on Discord. We're kind of running an experiment, to be honest, in that we don't do a lot of traditional marketing as a company. We don't do a lot of ads. And instead, we really want to focus on having people who work on the actual features talk as directly as possible to the players. And just kind of like share work in progress. We've really kind of doubled down on that recently. We're really trying to do that more and more. I'm not sure how effective we're being at it yet, or how apparent that is to people. If you're on the Discord, I don't know how much you see of that. We are trying, though. Our goal is to kind of be a little bit more transparent with, like, here's what we're working on, here's what's coming. I think some of it, to be honest, is probably coming from, like I said at the start of the video, our vision is very focused on building this radically cross-platform social UGC world. That requires a huge investment in the creation tools, in the UGC side of things, the user-generated content side of things. And so I think a lot of that development, a lot of what people are working on feels pretty abstract. It's like, hey, here is some really kind of esoteric tool, or here is some circuits chip. And maybe you're a player who's, not only are you not really a creator, let alone using the circuit system. And so the idea of a list of, hey, here's a bunch of new chips is not that interesting. So I think some of it might be just the feeling of a lot of what we're doing is investing in this UGC future. And so a lot of that kind of is like, hey, well, it doesn't feel like you're talking to me because I'm not actively using any of that stuff. So I think as we're really pushing towards a world where we're just talking very publicly about everything we're doing. I'm trying to be as transparent as I can today, like addressing the feedback that we're getting in this AMA and that we're hearing with the whole Save Rec Room hashtag or whatever. We got no agenda to hide things from you. We are a relatively small company headquartered in Seattle with a bunch of people around the US and around the world working super, super hard to build this radically cross-platform social UGC future. We don't have anything to hide, really. So yeah, we'll talk about as much as we can. We'll be as transparent as we can. I think, you'll really see us, I think, focusing on YouTube and Discord a lot in the next, for the rest of this year, let's say. I think we're going to focus a lot of our communications there. So that'll be the place to come and talk to us and come and see what's going on. I'm on the Reddit a fair bit, so we can also chat there. But yeah, fair criticism. We got no agenda to hide things. I think we do get busy. I think maybe we don't always say as much as we could. We'll just try and be better. Today's AMA is a part of us. We've done a lot of AMAs in the past. We don't do them as often as we used to. We're just busy. That's all it is.
Next question. Why are cosmetics in Rec Room getting more expensive? A couple years ago, a cosmetic would cost between 1,000 to 2,500 tokens. Now cosmetics would cost between 5 to 15K tokens.
Yeah. Okay, fair question. And I know that this is, often high on the list of complaints when we get criticism under the kind of Save Rec Room tag, and it's definitely true. I've talked about this on the Reddit. We definitely have some high-priced items. I wanted to kind of make sure I could say something smart about this, so I actually went and talked to the team, and we actually pulled the data for item costs over the last couple of years. And so, first of all, let me just kind of talk about the average cost of an item over the last 2 years. If you go back to July of 2020, the average cost of an avatar item, like literally the average, was 1,750 tokens, 1,750. And if you fast forward to today, so if we pull the number for today, the average cost of avatar items is 2,300 tokens. So that is an increase. It's definitely gone up. But on average, the price has gone up about 25%. And I should be clear that that's what people are actually spending in the game per day on avatar items. It's not the sticker price of the avatar items. It's definitely true that at the high end, our most expensive items have gone up more than 25%, but the average cost has not gone up that much. So this is one thing, is that I don't think the price increase is as extreme as people think. But I'm not trying to say you're wrong to have that criticism. I'm just trying to say, hey, there is some data on that. And it's not quite as extreme as I think it feels. I think, why does it feel extreme? Why does it look extreme? Hey, our most expensive items are more expensive. That is true. Why is that? Well, we, as I said earlier, we're not a super profitable business. We are not rolling in money. we do need to kind of keep money kept coming in to be a sustainable business so that we can get to that future that I talked about. And what we found is that, we have we have players who are happy to kind of pay those prices for really premium items. So we're going to keep doing that. But I think there's two things we can do to make this situation better. One is just very simply, I think we can offer more lower cost items. So something that we've been working hard on, something that's going well, is we've been expanding our capability of making avatar items. We've been making it the pipeline more efficient. We've been opening up the types of creators that can get involved. Basically, we have the ability to have more avatar items on the market, and that will unlock the ability for us to have a broader array of price points. So you're still going to see expensive premium items. That's an important part of our business. And so you're still going to keep us doing it. We're not just going to unilaterally lower the cost of all items. We literally can't afford to do that. But what you will see is a much broader spread of items with some really interesting, cool stuff that is at a more affordable price point. So hopefully that will help. I think the other thing we can do is that our store design is pretty basic. Our store is not great, and especially it doesn't do a good job of surfacing any avatar items that aren't brand new. And since it's the newer premium items that the store tends to focus on, I think that creates the perception, not entirely wrong, but the strong perception that, hey man, everything is just super expensive and it just gets more and more expensive over time, which isn't fully true. There is a grain of truth to it, but I think we can do a better job with the store of recommending items to you that are more suitable for you. If you're not the kind of player who's going to spend at those higher price points, the system shouldn't be recommending them to you. It should be showing you something that's more appropriate for you. The big picture here is, we make a decent amount of our revenue on avatar items. We are investing in opening up that marketplace a lot. Something you'll see, that's something we're actively working on that helps us build towards that long-term future is UGC avatar items, so creator-made avatar items. So, sometimes they get asked, hey, why are you investing in something like full-body avatars, but not investing in updating paintball or updating laser tag? Well, the reason is full body avatars really opens up a whole new surface area for our creators to, make expressive, cool, creative content, but then also make money on that, get, spread their work across the whole community. So it really helps us build towards that future. So that's another thing that you'll see that I think will really, really change the game in what it means to buy avatar items, will be the opening up of the marketplace to our creators. So that's something we're very actively working on. It would be crazy of me to make any specific date promises, but that's definitely something we're working hard on.
All right. Next question is, there have been numerous discussions that Rec Room is dying. Most players point out the removal of double shot, removal of weeklies, lack of actual room moderation, and the, quote, devs and community just hating each other, quote, among other things as the main reasons. Rec Room...
Is this the question that's this long? Is it a million words long?
Yeah.
Thank you for the question. Packed with a lot of interesting feedback. I hope I addressed that in the kind of, what I was saying at the start of the video about the long-term vision for Rec Room. I think there's really look, we have our eyes on the prize of building this kind of long-term, sustainable, radically cross-platform, social UGC platform. And I think that's a really, really exciting future. It does mean that, we have to be super, super focused on investing in things that get us towards that future. And that means not paying as much attention as some of our players would like us to. And frankly, sometimes as much as we would like to. We would love to go back and spend time just polishing up, paintball or laser tag or doing another laser tag map. The big one that comes up a lot is, hey, build another quest. It's been 5 years. There's definitely a part of us that wants to do that, and we get why people want that. Those are fun things. We're really proud of those, games that we made and those features that we've shipped. But we really, really got to keep our eyes on the prize of what is the sustainable long-term future for Rec Room. We think we know what it is. We're very, very excited about it. We think we're making huge progress towards it. But yeah, we're on a journey here. And so, all I can say to those long comments and very passionate feedback is, I really want to invite you on this journey with us. I know it's not always easy. There is a really, really exciting future at the end of it. So that's why we make those choices we make and why we don't always focus on some of those beloved features.
Next question is, why do the developers at Rec Room keep pushing through the updates that most people have bad reactions to?
Okay, well, there's a couple of things there. I think, hopefully I explained some context of why we're working on the things that we're working on in terms of that long-term vision that we're trying to get to, right? Like we're trying to build a radically cross-platform social UGC app that you can help build, right? And so that requires a big investment in creation tools, in systems to support that. It's a long and it's a difficult road, and it means that, often we don't have as much time to work on things that, we would like to work on too. We would love to add a laser tag map, or we would love to support weeklies for longer, but we have to make some really tough decisions about, hey, we got to invest in the future here. So that's why we're working on those things. I think there is room to kind of push back a little bit on, hey, most people don't want these things. I think very often it's true, and this is not to minimize. I'm not saying this to say it doesn't matter, but I think very often it's it's not that most people care about these things. It's often that there's a relatively small group of players, but they care very deeply about it. I think the weeklies are a great example of this one. So let me talk about the weeklies a little bit, because I know that was very controversial. And I think, I said on Reddit, hey, at the time we decommissioned that system, only 0.2% of players were using it, which is true, but I know that people heard that as well, hey, but those are some of the most engaged and most passionate players, and that's not a good reason to take a feature away. And I agree with that, actually. I think that's fair feedback. I don't think I heard that. I'm kind of thinking about that. The way I would say it is, so I went back to think about it some more, and I think even in their heyday, when we first shipped the weeklies, in the first year, say, the peak usage of that system was never above 5% of all players. But again, that is passionate players who are coming back regularly, who are really, really, keen on that system, really love that experience. So I get that. So really, what it comes down to is what do we have time to invest in? And something that I'm trying to push the team on that I don't think we've always done a great job on, frankly, and I think this is not me criticizing the team. This is really me criticizing myself. I've said it many, many times. The Rec Room team is one of the most amazing teams I've ever worked with. It's an incredible group of individuals, very talented, and everyone's really working really, really hard to try and build something amazing. But, so, anything cool that happens in Rec Room, I want to give credit to the team. Anything bad that happens, please blame it on me. For the weeklies, what I am trying to push us towards is, I think very often we've tried to support more things than we can realistically support, and as a result, some of them don't get the bug fixing that they require. They don't get the optimization that they require. So I'm trying to push us more and more over time to, if we don't think we can properly support something and do a good job of it, let's actually retire it and remove it cleanly rather than have it on life support and have it half implemented forever. And I think that's what happened with the weeklies, right? So they were never used very much. We really, really didn't have the time and people to support that system properly. So we went to monthlies, and we weren't sure about whether we were going to get it back to weeklies. We probably said some confusing things. You may have noticed that we are a pretty transparent team. So sometimes the things we say, they're not as polished and as corporate as they should be probably. But we probably said all kinds of stuff with the best of intentions, but frankly, we just didn't have the time or the people to keep that system going in a good quality state. So we made the decision to be let's just not pretend that we can do this. Let's take it away. Let's remove it cleanly. And I know that disappointed some of you, and I'm sorry. That is on me 100%, but I do stand by the decision. As we kind of build towards this, invest in this future, we do have to make some tough decisions, and that means sometimes we can't support things that a small but important group of players might really, really love.
The next question is from the same guy. Do they really take the community opinions into consideration?
Yeah. I mean, we do. So like I said, we've got people on the Discord. I'm on the Discord sometimes. I'm pretty old, so Discord's too fast for my old man eyes. But I'm on the Reddit a fair bit, watch the YouTube videos. We talk about community feedback all the time internally. I think we're pretty aware of, of the sentiment of the community. And so I think I would separate out. There's a difference between listening and hearing the feedback and then making the decisions that people in the community might wish we would make, right? I think there's a big difference. Like, so we hear the feedback, we are listening, but I realize that we don't always make the decisions. We don't always act in the way that you might want us to. So I think I wouldn't put those two together. We are definitely listening.
Third question. Also, how do you see Rec Room's performance for the amount of users that have a positive view of the game in 2-3 years?
I guess, I mean, I'm going to guess this question is aimed at the kind of Rec Room is dying narrative. I mean, Rec Room is not dying just objectively by the numbers. We're adding users. We feel good about that. But look, I think in the spirit of the feedback that we're hearing a lot and that I agree with is that at the end of the day, it's not all about numbers. Something that I've always been passionate about. Like, I've been working in video games for 30 years, Corbin. Do you believe that? I'm an old man. So I've been doing this a long time. I've been worked on a lot of games in my career. Amazing industry. If you're looking for a career, I recommend games. But games really, when you get right down to it, you have to balance three things. You have to balance creativity and making something that's creatively interesting and creatively satisfying and interesting and cool and has a lot of love in it. Super important. You can't make a cool game without that. But equally important is there's a technical piece, which is what you're doing needs to be technically possible and needs to be technically challenging. You need to be raising the bar in some regard of what are you doing that's technically interesting? And then the third piece of it, that's all three of these are equally important, is the business piece. Is there a business model that supports what you're doing? Because if you've got only creativity, but no business model, no technology, you've really got, it might be a really interesting piece of art, but it's not something that's going to sustain employing a lot of people or having a company. If all you've got is business and no creativity, then I think you do have really something corporate and soulless, and and those things often don't sustain very well or build good communities. And obviously the technical piece is really, really important to make it all possible. If you can't solve the technical problems, you might have an amazing idea with a great business model, but if you can't build it and execute it and keep it running, then what's the point? So that's how we think of it. Is I think it's not just about the numbers, but the numbers do look good. I'm very, very excited for what Rec Room looks like in 2 or 3 years. I think we'll be a lot further down the road towards that future I talked about at the start of the video.
And final question from the same guy. Lastly, what is your opinion on the current state of the game and community?
Well, look, I don't like that the community, or at least large chunks of the community that speaks to us on Discord and Reddit, is mad at us. The team feels that, I feel that. And I'm not criticizing anyone. I think if that's how you feel, you should express it. I've always said from day one, again, go and fact check me from the earliest videos that I made with Hairy Man Legs from way back in the day. I would always say we would rather hear the feedback, positive or negative, than not hear it. So, but that said, we don't like that people are upset at us for whatever reason. So I don't like that. And we will work to make it better. I can't promise that we're just going to reverse all the decisions we've made, or we're just going to hey, because the community says it, we're going to do it. That's not a way to balance those three things I was just talking about. But, so we don't like that. And then what was the rest of the question? How do I feel about the community? Oh, and the state of the game just generally. I'll tell you what's really bugging me is just performance in general. I'm doing this AMA in a Quest. The performance of Rec Room is annoying me as I make this AMA. I think the performance of the UI is substandard. I think some of the rooms that I'm going to, the performance is too low. So that's really bugging me. So if I had a magic wand and I could fix that, that's what I would focus on. I think we got a question coming up on optimization and stuff later. So I'll save any deeper answer on that for that question.
Next question is, what led you all to transition from the greatly loved VR game in 2018 to making so many bad decisions that receive backlash for and do nothing about, even though you say you'll listen to the community?
I'm trying to figure out if it's more our evilness or our incompetence. Which one do you think is, it's so hard to say which one is more important in that factor. So I think I've addressed this a few times. Look, I think that is somewhat provocatively phrased. That's fine. Clearly we don't intentionally set out to make those kind of decisions. But yeah, all I can say is kind of referring back to what I said at the start of the video. We have a long-term vision here. We are building towards something that I think is really, really special. And it does mean that sometimes we make decisions that if you're not thinking about that long-term vision, or maybe you're not bought into that long-term vision, might seem like backwards priorities. But there is method to our madness. We're investing very deeply in the complex underpinnings of a radically cross-platform social UGC app that will let everyone build and collaborate and make meaningful money and have all kinds of really exciting, expressive outcomes. That's really what we're focused on. And that does mean that, we've had to deprioritize some things that people were very invested in early in the game.
Next question. It's great that y'all are actually trying with Rooms 2. For me, it's a lot like the transition from CV1 to CV2 and how much that was hated.
So yeah, look, I think, so Rooms 2 is, I keep going back to talking about, the complex underpinnings of this platform we're trying to build. Rooms 2 is a big part of that. Rooms 2 is a huge effort. Really, really difficult technical work. I talked about the importance of balancing creative work, business model, and technical work. Rooms 2 is very much on that technical piece of really unlocking the next level of Rec Room content. I think there's a lot of fair criticism that I would add my voice to of like the performance of the app is not up to snuff. The frame rate's often not great, etc. The UI doesn't perform as well as we want. Rooms 2 is a big part of that puzzle of like really investing in systems that can allow us to scale a lot further and run a lot better on all of the platforms that we need to be on. So that's the reason for that transition. It's a tough one. Boy, it is tough. We're working super hard and we are really breaking a sweat over it. And we got some really, really smart people working super, super hard on this. But I think the CV1 to CV2 is actually a good analogy, actually, because that was a controversial change. CV1 was a very simple but beloved system that had a very low ceiling. I won't go deep into the technical underpinnings of CV1 versus CV2, but the nature of CV1 was that it was kind of friendly to use, kind of simple to use, and rightly people fell in love with it. We loved it too. It was a really cool, fun system to use, but it had a very low ceiling on the complexity of creation that you could achieve. And CV2, that ceiling is a lot higher. Not high enough, honestly, but much, much higher. And so there was a huge jump in complexity. There was a lot of effort required to kind of make that transition. I think we're mostly through that transition now. And, and really, if you look at the top 100 rooms, all of them are powered by CV2 or circuits, as we call it now. So yeah, tough transition. I know there was some backlash for that too, but ultimately for the good of the platform, I think. And so Rooms 2, I think, will be somewhat similar. It's, a tough transition again, but it really is advancing the state of the game in massive, massive, massive ways. So we think it's worth the pain and the investment.
All right.
That's what I say, Corbin. Why are you so tall? You're not that much taller than me, are you?
I mean, I've been drinking milk. My bones be growing.
That's true, yeah. Your bones are elongated. Right?
Yeah.
All right.
So,
all right, Corbin, tell me when you're recording.
I am recording.
Okay. So I am starting to run out of time. Being good questions. Let's do lightning round. Let's just boom, boom, boom. Get through as many as we can. Let's go.
Right, here we go. Will there ever be plans to give old RROs content updates?
Yes, I think we will, but it's going to be in a way that fits into that long-term vision of investing in the creator-driven platform. So I think it's unlikely that we'll just go back and touch the RROs in place. I think what is likely is that we will, in close consultation with the community, very carefully, very respectfully, we love these games as much as you do, look at adapting them over to the creation systems so that we can live operate them, we can update them more regularly, and we can also offer pieces of them as templates for our creators to use. So I think we will see some new life breathed into the older RROs, but as part of of bringing everything into the creator-driven future.
When should we see some actual good FPS optimization, more graphic settings than just 3 presets that barely make a bit of any difference?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. This was the optimization question I was predicting a few questions ago. So yes, fair question. I think it's clear the game needs better optimization in lots of places. I won't go into the details. I'm sure the person asking the question agrees with me that we do need to optimize. As for when, I don't want to give any answers. I don't think I have good credibility on answering this question in terms of time. What I want to do here is show, don't tell. What I will say is that there is some pretty interesting work going on. We are investing in this. I think there is some very interesting work in the pipeline. I don't want to make any promises about when. I don't want to make any grand claims. I want to show, not tell. Hopefully it'll be obvious when these things are landing. The game's running better. You won't need me to tell you.
Next question is, the Rec Room community has been eagerly anticipating a new quest. Could you please share if there are any plans for a new quest anytime soon?
I think I've said this publicly before. We will make another quest. At some point, we will make it. Anytime soon? No, it's not going to be soon. We will make it when we're ready. And what ready means is when we, so just like MLM, My Little Monsters, we just made with the creator-facing tools. We made it with Studio and with circuits and and the Maker Pen. When we can make a quest that is as good or better than the old quests that we've made using the creator tools, we will make a new quest.
Why do you say that only a small percentage of people do weeklies when you guys clearly made them come out every month and no change to make them better?
Yeah. I think we talked about this one earlier. Hopefully I covered this one pretty well earlier, but just to recap quickly, I think we did communicate confusingly on it, and I apologize for that. That's on me. With weeklies, they were never a widely used feature. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily unimportant, because as many people have said on the Reddit, on the Discord, hey, just because only a small percentage of players are using it, those are some really passionate players who really care about that feature. And that's fair, and I agree with that feedback. It's really two things. It's like, hey, it wasn't used by many people, and more importantly, we didn't feel like we could do a good job supporting the feature. It was clearly decaying. It had gone to monthly. No one was updating it regularly. I think we have some other features that probably fall into this category that, in an ideal world, we will keep it going, but we don't have time and people to put towards it. We need to be focused on that bigger picture future that I've talked about a lot in this video. And so as a result, we made the tough decision to be like, hey, it's better to just take it out completely rather than have it on life support permanently.
Next question. It's a three-part question. Do you guys plan to add a dark mode to the watch or make it easier to use in any way?
That's two questions. Dark mode, I don't know. I know we've dabbled with it in the past. I don't know what the team's plans are right now, because I think the much bigger problem and focus is the second part of the question, which is, are we going to make it work better? Man, this new menu system that I've been talking about for years, and that, I know we've had a lot of complaints with over the years. I'm not happy with the performance of it. It's not working as well as we need it to. We continue to hammer on it to make it better. So I think make it work better. Yes. Dark mode, no idea.
Next two questions are the same thing. Why does Make It to Midnight still not have activity boxes? And will future RROs like MLM also have activity boxes? Yeah.
That's a good question, actually. So I think the answer is yes, kind of. So the answer is the reason Make It to Midnight and My Little Monsters don't have activity boxes the same way that, say, Paintball does, is that they are built with the creator-facing UGC tools. They are not built using the old RRO systems. And the creator-facing UGC tools, we don't give our creators the ability to just give away avatar items for obvious reasons. That's how we make our money as a business. We can't just have people giving them away for free. That said, I mentioned earlier in the video that we're opening up the avatar marketplace to be creator-driven over time as well. And so when that happens, there'll be the ability for rooms to give you creator-made avatar items and kind of have a reward system that works that way. So it won't be exactly the same, but that's why they don't give you activity boxes. And so we're not currently planning to go back and add them, but you will see something similar come online, I would say, next year.
Next question. It seems that over recent years, you have been slowly phasing out Coach in the game and in promotional material. Is this by accident or is this a choice? Will you be reintroducing Coach sometime in the future?
That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. So, hey, Coach is eternal. Coach sees all. Coach rules over all in Rec Room. All hail Coach. So, no, there's absolutely, we wouldn't be able to marginalize Coach if we tried. I think really, in terms of hearing her important, authoritative voice throughout the game, she said everything that needs to be said. So, we haven't heard from her in a while. But, yeah, there's no intentional plan to marginalize Coach. We love Coach.
Next question. What is the big picture for Rec Room's future?
Yeah, okay. So I think we talked about this one a fair bit. I'll say it, just one more time. The big picture is we are building towards a radically cross-platform, social, creator-driven UGC app that you can help build, right? So we're really focused on building out the underpinnings so you can make stuff that's amazing as we can make. It all performs really amazingly well on all of our platforms. That is a difficult task, and we are only halfway through that journey. So yeah, what I say to everybody is hey, please, stick with us on this journey, join us on this journey, help us complete this journey, because once we get there, it's a really, really amazing world to live in. So that's the vision that we're pushing towards. So that's what we're working towards.
Is the lore actually going to lead to something instead of just selling cosmetics?
No, not really. So I think people's complaints about the lore are pretty well founded. We have people who've worked on it over the years and have done a good job of it. I think there's been some fun and cool ideas, and so I don't want to criticize that creative work. but I don't think it's central to the promise of Rec Room. I think it's pretty peripheral. I think it has been mainly used as a way to kind of make the avatar items more interesting, and I think it's been pretty clunky. I don't think we've done a great job of it. As to what the future of that looks like, I'm not sure. Here's the lore that I think we really feel like is central to Rec Room is kind of the sense of being on a campus, having a dorm room, having the rec center that you go to, this kind of introduction to the world where you're kind of very vaguely like a student coming to a university, coming on campus, that kind of like orients you in the world. We really care about that, right? We really care about the vibe of Rec Room being grounded in that kind of Rec Roomy universe. The stuff with like, you know, the kind of more fantastical stuff of like, you know, S and the Celestials is very cool. It's like some really cool creative ideas. I don't think we've done a good job stitching it all together, and I don't want to promise that we're going to focus on doing a great job stitching it all together. It's really just not, I think, at the heart of what we're trying to build, which is, as I've said a million times, this really creator-driven world that we're trying to build together with creators, as opposed to, hey, we're just providing ideas for you. I think it's fair to criticize the lore. I think it's been cool in some ways. I think it's been pretty slapdash in other ways. Again, not to criticize anyone who works on it. I think there's been some really fun work done on it. But yeah, it's not a super high priority for us to have this deep lore in Rec Room.
Will you guys ever go back and add new maps to old Rec Room originals like Laser Tag and Rec Rally?
Yeah, so like I mentioned this a couple of questions before in our lightning round. Yeah, I think so, but only in the context where, like, for example, we might take something like Rec Rally and kind of update it to use absolutely latest and greatest creative systems, like, for example, bring it over to be a Rooms 2 room. And in that context, you know, really focus on adding some more maps, making it, you know, fleshing it out. We could do that with any of the older RROs.
Will there be any updates or optimizations to get Rec Room running better on the Quest 3? Also, is Crescendo able to run on the Quest 3?
Yeah, okay, so two fair questions. So on the first one, general optimization, yeah, like I said, I'm in a Quest 3 making this AMA right now, and in some rooms, like, you know, relatively simple rooms like Disc Golf Lake, performance has been great, super happy with it. In some of the more complex rooms, it's been really, really suboptimal. So yeah, I think you'll see us investing in making the performance better on Quest 3. The truth is, Crescendo almost runs on Quest 3. We actually are able to play through it. It doesn't run too bad. There are some pretty major graphical glitches that we're not sure how to fix. Like, there's just some weird shader issues, and like some things only render in one eye, and it makes it kind of weird and fucked up. So we haven't actually shipped it for those reasons. And, you know, the reason is, like, I'm going to go back to the same tune I've been singing this whole AMA, is like going back and like just bringing the old school Crescendo to make it work on Quest, you know, which didn't exist at the time we shipped Crescendo, just isn't on the line to our long-term vision for Rec Room. You know, so that doesn't mean we won't do it. You know, I think we'd all love to find time if we could justify it at some point. But, you know, just like with weeklies and a lot of other things, like, we've got to be really, really prioritizing the work we do. And yeah, like bringing Crescendo in its current form to the Quest just isn't on that laser focused line to the future, so we're not investing in it.
Are you going to bring back the community interaction that we used to have?
I hope so. Like I said earlier, we've got no agenda not to be transparent. We are trying to talk to people, and we really have made some changes internally to kind of encourage more people to be talking to the community more often, and having that kind of two-way conversation. We'll see how that goes. I'm hoping that'll go well. You know, I think from my part, I can keep doing these AMAs as often as I can, and be as involved on Reddit and Discord as I can. But yeah, we really want to be having open conversations. We're really not trying to hide anything from anyone.
Can you say anything about the next RRO? Hoping you don't give us a cryptic answer and something new.
Well, so what can I say about the next RRO? Here's what I can say. There is going to be a next RRO. The wait won't be as long as it has been between previous RROs. I will say the work is well underway on the next one. It's looking very, very cool. I'm very excited about it. I'm not going to say anything more than that. I haven't talked to the team about it. They would be mad at me if I leaked anything. But I think it's super neat, and I think you'll love it. All right. I think that's got to end our lightning round. I've got to go. Thank you very much for the questions. I hope I didn't miss anyone's questions. I apologize if I did. I'm just flat out of time. Super appreciate it. We'll do this again as soon as we're able. But yeah, just let me land on, like, look, super appreciate the feedback. Been reading all of the very fair criticism and feedback that's been coming in. Please keep it coming. As I've always said, we'd rather hear it than not hear it, even if it's harsh, even if it's like very critical of us. Thank you for playing Rec Room. We super appreciate you. We love you all. Thank you, Corbin, for helping with the AMA. I gotta go. Gribbly out. Bye.